Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So today we'll be studying Madhya Lila, chapter 2, text 41 onwards, which is, this chapter is about a summary of the Antya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita and goes through the ecstatic manifestations of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have done the part 1 in the previous episode and today will be the part 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmelitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalaam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So, chapter 2 of Madhya Lila, text 41. पुनः कहे हाय हाय सुन स्वरूप राम राय हे मोर हृदय निश्चय सुनि करह विचार হয় নয় কহ সার এটা বলি শ্লোক উচ্চারয়. So just to get the context, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was talking in his ecstasy, like Srimati Radharani. We have gone through the Brahmara Gita in the last episode. He was talking in a similar way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Radharani. So then he saw Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar come there, and he quickly came to his external senses, and there he was slightly embarrassed, and then he said, you must have heard some words of humility or whatever. Then he said, this is the last verse, 240 that we have seen. My dear friends, you are all my life and soul, therefore I tell you that I possess no wealth of love for Krishna. Consequently, my life is poverty-stricken, my limbs and senses are useless. So, we have also spoken on that our senses are useless if not employed in Krishna's service. Then further, he says this, today's 41st verse. Again, he addressed Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramanand, speaking despondently. Alas, my friends, you can now know the certainty within my heart, and after knowing my heart, you should judge whether I am correct or not. You can speak of this properly. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then began to chant another verse. This is like, what is this? This is a verse in a common language called Prakrita, and the exact transformation is Kaitava rahitam prema nahi bhavati manushe loke yadi bhavati kasya viraho virahe satyapiko jivati. So you see, it's a language which is very different. Kaiyavarahi pemam nahi hoy manushe loe jai hoy kassa virahe hontammi ko jai. I don't know what that is. That language is quite Prakrita. I never heard of it. Without any cheating propensity, without any motive concerning the four principles of material existence, namely religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Pemam, love of Godhead. Na, never. He, certainly. Hoy, becomes manuse, in human society. Loy, in this world. Jai, if. Hoy, there is. Kassa, whose. Virahe, in separation. Hontammi, is. Ko, who. Jai, lives. Wow, this is very interesting. I never came across this. I never noticed this. But there is another language other than Bengali and Sanskrit here. So anyway, the translation, love of Godhead devoid of cheating propensities is not possible within this material world. If there is such a love, there cannot be separation. For if there is separation, how can one live? So this is a verse in a common language called Prakrita, and the exact translation, Sanskrit translation is Kaitava rahitam prema nahi bhavati manushe loke yadi bhavati kasya viraho virahe satyapiko jivati. So going to the next verse. Akaitava Krishna prema jena jambu nadahema shei prema nirloke na hoy jadi hoy tar joga na hoy tabe viyoga viyoga hoyle ke ho na jiyoy. So I think the same thing. Pure love for Krishna, just like gold from the Jambu river, does not exist in human society. If it existed, there could not be separation. If separation were there, one could not live. Eta kohe sachi sutta shloka pade adbhuta shune duhe kamana hoya apana hridaya kaja kohite vasiye laja tabu kohe laja bija khaya. Thus speaking, the son of Srimati Sachimata recited another wonderful verse, and Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar heard this verse with rapt attention. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I feel shameful to disclose the activities of my heart. Nonetheless, I shall be done with all formalities and speak from the heart. Please hear. न प्रेम गंधोस्ति दरापि मे हरो क्रंदामि सौभाग्य भरम प्रकाशितुम् वंशी विलास्यानलोकनं विना बिभर्मि यत् प्राणपतंगकान् वृथा. I think Stotra Ratna, right? No? I don't know, the source is not given here. Anyway, let's read the translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued. My dear friends, I have not the slightest tinge of love of Godhead within my heart. When you see me crying in separation, I am just falsely exhibiting a demonstration of my great fortune. Indeed, not seeing the beautiful face of Krishna playing his flute I continue to live my life like an insect without purpose. Life of an insect. So he's comparing the life without Krishna consciousness to life of an insect without purpose. दूरे शुद्धे प्रेम गंध कपट प्रेमेर बंध सेह मोर नाही कृष्ण पाए तबे जे करि क्रंदन स्वसौभाग्य प्रख्यापन करि इहा जानी हो निश्चय. Actually, my love for Krishna is far, far away. Whatever I do is actually an exhibition of pseudo love of Godhead. When you see me cry, I am simply falsely demonstrating my great fortune. Please try to understand this beyond a doubt. See, the irony is that those who actually have love of Godhead, they say like this, and those who do not have love of Godhead, they say that I have love of Godhead. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us that we should not publicly disclose ecstatic symptoms. Anyway, we are far from that stage, at least I am. But if at all one, even a pure devotee, when he is overcome by ecstatic emotions, he tries to hide them. He does not try to exhibit them. So if one is trying to exhibit such symptoms, see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was embarrassed at exhibiting such symptom. And therefore he's saying, I actually do not have any love, I'm just making a show here. So he's teaching us that, those who actually make a show, they show all these symptoms outwardly. So especially the sahajiyas. Sahajiya means those who take it very cheaply. As if ecstatic love of Godhead is so cheap that anybody can just smoke bidi and then cry. So he wanted to show this, that this is not an ordinary stage. So going on to the next verse. जाते वंशे ध्वनि सुख ना देखी से चांद मुख यद्यपि नाही को आलंबन निज देह करी प्रीति केवल कामेर रीति प्राण कीटेर करिए धारण. Even though I do not see the moon-like face of Krishna as he plays on his flute, and although there is no possibility of my meeting him, still I take care of my own body. That is the way of lust. In this way, I maintain my fly-like life. Actually, he's teaching us that, when we do this, we are, especially in sadhana bhakti stage, we don't have very deep feelings for Krishna. And he's saying that if, even though I do not see Krishna's face, I'm very much, I'm not even feeling anything wrong with that, and I'm not really missing him. If I really miss him, I will be lost, shunya itam jagat sarvam, but I'm very busy maintaining my body, taking care of my body. That means I have no love for Krishna at all. That is the way of lust. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. Purport. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the lovable Supreme Lord is the supreme shelter. The Lord is the supreme subject and the devotees are the object. The coming together of a subject and object is called alambana. The object hears and the subject plays the flute. That the object cannot see the moon-like face of Krishna and has no eagerness to see him is the sign of being without alambana. Externally imagining such a thing simply satisfies one's lusty desires and thus one lives without purpose. This is a very, very poignant verses to consider. Just like those verses in the Bhagavatam, Jivan Chavaha, that living dead, ghostly life. If we, are having our senses but not using them in Krishna's service, we're just as good as dead. And here, these verses are actually expanding on that and showing an even intense emotion. Saying the same thing but with greater emotion. So he's saying, why am I interested in maintaining my body? I don't even have any feeling that I'm separated from Krishna. I don't even feel that I'm missing him. That means how I have no love for him at all. If I really love him, I should have always been thinking about him. I would not be worried about my body. So Narottam Das Thakur says, Prabhupada says like that. What is that? देह स्मृति नाही जार संसार बंधन कहाँ तार. देह स्मृति नाही जार. Let's see. Yeah, Narottam Das. Actually, I could not find this exact words in Narottam Das Thakur's songs. So maybe if somebody knows, they can maybe maybe show me. Deha smriti nahi jar samsar bandhan kahan tar. When a person fully realizes the material world, that the material body and world are temporary, he is not concerned with pain and pleasures of the body. So, in other words, actually, the exact translation of this Bengali is that for him who does not have any external consciousness, deha smriti, if he does not remember about his body at all, what sort of attachment will he have for the world? That means he's completely with Krishna already. So deha smriti nahi jar samsara bandhan kahan tar. So conversely, for those who are only with deha smriti, they are fully in samsara bandhan. They have no love for Krishna. Pritirna yavan mai vasudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat. Deha smriti or deha yogena, it's the same thing. एवं मनः कर्मवशं प्रयुङ्क्ते अविद्ययात्मन्युपधीयमाने प्रीतिर्न यावन्मयि वासुदेवे न मुच्यते देहयोगेन तावत्. When the living entity is covered by the mode of ignorance, he does not understand the individual living being and the supreme living being, and his mind is subjugated by fruitive activity. So you see, when covered by mode of ignorance, does not understand himself and the Lord, and his mind is subjugated by fruitive activity. Therefore, until one has love for Lord Vasudeva, who is none other than myself, he is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. You see? So, deha yogena tavat pritirna yavan. So, if we have deha priti, then we cannot have Krishna priti. If we have Krishna priti, then we cannot have deha priti. There's another one nice verse. जिह्वार लाल से जय इति उति धाय शिष्णोदर परायण कृष्ण नाही पाए. अंत्य 6.227. जिह्वार लाल से जय इति उति धाय शिष्णोदर परायण कृष्ण नाही पाए. One who is subservient to the tongue and who thus goes here and there, devoted to the genitals and the belly, cannot attain Krishna. So this is called Deha Smriti. The desires for sense gratification and fully conscious of the external body and its demands and wanting to fulfill those demands, and especially the highest is from the tongue to the genitals. What is that? Aupastha bahumanyamana. Aupastha bahumanyamana 7-6-13 means that a materialist, he will think that to satisfy his genitals and the tongue is very, very important in life. Such a person who is fully engrossed in Deha Smriti cannot have Krishna Smriti, Krishna Smaran. It is not possible. Even as we are trying to become devotees, we can see this, that when we become too conscious of the body, then we cannot remember Krishna. Bodily necessities and anything material, it will be a disturbance. Our Krishna Smaran is interrupted. On the other hand, if we are serving Krishna nicely, if we are chanting his name, then we will forget. In fact, that is the whole idea of Ekadashi, for example, and festival days. The whole point is to absorb ourselves in Krishna's service so that we don't have to worry about the bodily demands. But of course, it is done as a matter of duties, as a matter of rule, vidhi. This is called Vaidhi Bhakti, devotional service according to rules. But the whole point is to eventually come to the point where we are constantly without Deha Smriti. But that's a very high stage. It's not a thing to be imitated and cheaply hankered for. No. 11, 13, 36. This verse is twice in the Bhagavatam. Nashwaram. Deham janashwaram avasthitam va siddho na pashyati yatodhyagamat swarupam daivadapetam atha daivavashadupetam vaso yatha parikritam madiramadandha. Just as a drunken man does not notice if he is wearing his coat or shirt, similarly, one who is perfect in self-realization and who has thus achieved his eternal identity does not notice whether the temporary body is sitting or standing. Indeed, if by God's will the body is finished, or if by God's will he obtains a new body, a self-realized soul does not notice, just as a drunken man does not notice the situation of his outward dress. This is called Deha Smriti Nahi Jar. This verse is almost similar to this wording, is in another place. Madira Madandha. 3:28-37, yes. Deham chatam na charamah sthitam utthitam va siddho vipashyati yatodhyagamat swarupam daivadupetam atha daivavashadapetam vaso yatha parikritam madiramadandha. Almost the exact same wording. Because he has achieved his real identity, the perfectly self-realized soul has no occupation of how the material body is moving or acting, just as an intoxicated person cannot understand whether or not he has clothing on his body. So, the 6 Goswamis, you can see, even Arjuna was called Gudakesha, one who has conquered sleep. That means Deha Smriti Nahi Jar. And the 6 Goswamis, Nidra Hara Vihara Kadi Vijitao. chatyantau cha dinau cha yo. So, nidrahara vihara kadi vijitau. They have conquered over the demands of the body. And that's the stage which is also mentioned in NOI 1. One is able to control here. Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam jihva vegam udaropastha vegam etan veganyo vishaheta dhirah sarvam apimam prithivim shashishyat. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So, here one who can control. The control means one can only control when one is completely Krishna conscious, and this is explained in this other verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam 4:22-39. यत्पादपङ्कजपलाशविलासभक्त्या कर्माशयं ग्रथितमुद्ग्रथयन्ति सन्तः तद्वन्नरिक्तमतयो यतयोऽपि रुद्धा स्रोतो गणास्तमरणं भज वासुदेवम्. The devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, you see, before we go further, the devotees who are always engaged can very easily overcome hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Fruitive activities means basically sense gratification. They can easily overcome these hard-knotted desires for sense gratification because they are always engaged in Krishna's service. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. So, unless we have this higher taste of Krishna consciousness, param drishtva nivartate, we cannot give up the lower taste. So, that taste we can get when we are engaged in Vaidhi Bhakti. Eventually, klesha ghnihi, all the troubles of the material world will vanish just by sadhana bhakti alone. This is also explained by Jiva Goswami in the Tattva Sandarbha. Just by sadhana bhakti alone, klesha ghnihi. But those who do not follow this bhakti yoga process, then very, very difficult. They'll be full of trouble. Their life is full of troubles. See, this verse was also quoted in the Tattva Sandarbha in that regard, that without bhakti yoga, without sadhana bhakti, श्रेयस्रितिं भक्तिमुदस्यते विभो क्लिश्यन्ति ये केवलबोधलब्धये तेषामसौ क्लेशल एव शिष्यते नान्यद्यथा स्थूलतुषावघातिनाम्. My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self-realization. If someone gives up that path and engages in the cultivation of speculative knowledge, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired result. As a person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, one who simply speculates cannot achieve self-realization. His only gain is trouble. So, speculating without devotional service and it's a path of difficulty. Whereas for those persons who take to Bhakti Yoga, anything is possible. Anything. There is nothing that is impossible for such a devotee. Yat karma bhiryat tapasa jnana vairagyataschа yat yogena dana dharmena shreyo bhir itarairapi sarvam mad bhakti yogena mad bhakto labhatenjasa swargapavargam madhama kathanchidya divanchati. Everything that can be achieved by fruitive activities, penance, knowledge, detachment, mystic yoga, charity, religious duties, and all other means of perfecting life is easily achieved by my devotee through loving service unto me. You see, is easily achieved by the devotee. If somehow or other my devotee desires promotion to heaven, liberation, or residence in my abode, he easily achieves such benedictions. So the life of a devotee is very easy. He can achieve anything, spiritual or material, if he wants. Of course, he doesn't want anything, but even if he needs something material in this material world, of course, he will only use it in Krishna's service. In that circumstance, when he is fully Krishna conscious, nothing is difficult for him to achieve. Whereas the other opposite is those who give up devotional service. For them, it is very troublesome. Life is very troublesome. Kleshodhikatarastesham avyaktasakta chetasam. Deha smriti nahijar at Madhya 13.42, 13.142. देह स्मृति नाही जार संसार कूपा कहा तार ताहा होते ना चाहे उद्धार विरह समुद्र जले काम तिमिंगिले गिले गोपी गणे नेह तार पार. Wow, this is interesting. So, going back, did we read the translation? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, the gopis have fallen into the great ocean of separation and are being devoured by the Timingala fish of their ambition to serve you. The gopis are to be delivered from the mouths of these Timingala fish, for they are pure devotees. Since they have no material conception of life, why should they aspire for liberation? The gopis do not want that liberation desired by yogis and jnanis, for they are already liberated from the ocean of material existence. So I think probably Narottam Das Thakur took from here, but then I don't know where exactly he sung, which song it is. So going back all the way, now we have come many verses. So reading on Madhya 2.48. कृष्ण प्रेमा सुनिर्मला जैन शुद्ध गंगा जला शे प्रेमामृतेर सिंधु निर्मल शे अनुरागे नालुकाय अन्य दागे शुक्ल वस्त्रे जय छे मासी बिंदु. Love for Lord Krishna is very pure, just like the waters of the Ganga. That love is an ocean of nectar. That pure attachment to Krishna does not conceal any spot which would appear just like a spot of ink on a white cloth. Purport. Unalloyed love of Krishna is just like a big sheet of white cloth. Absence of attachment is compared to a black spot on that white cloth. Just as the black spot is prominent, so the absence of love of Godhead is prominent on the platform of pure love of Godhead. Wow. The absence of love of Godhead is prominent on the platform of pure love of Godhead. I mean, we can understand it to a certain extent. At our level, at my level at least, I can understand something, which is, for example, a person say, watches a movie, or, you know, say watches a movie, right? It's no big deal for a materialist. He goes to the theater and pays a ticket and watches a movie and comes back. If a devotee does that, it'll become a talk of the town. Hey, this devotee went to that. He was like, there was one so-called devotee. He was, you know, he was eating in a McDonald's. So another devotee who was passing by that McDonald's, and he saw this devotee. Eh? Then that devotee was trying to hide himself. He could not hide. I mean, he was already caught. And it became a big news. Oh, he was caught eating in McDonald's. So, but there are millions of people, eating every day in McDonald's. But nobody bothers. But when a devotee does that, so the absence of love of Godhead is prominent on the platform of love of God. So, of course, this is speaking about love of Godhead, but I'm just speaking about devotional service. A thing that is common for a materialist, and we wouldn't think that this is something very big. But a devotee does that, it will become very big. Hey, how can a devotee do that? So it becomes like the black spot on a white cloth. So devotional service is like this white cloth, and then any small thing that is off, it becomes very prominent. And there is a similar verse. Sanyasira alpa chidra. Madhya 2.41. Shukla vastre masi bindu jaiche nalukai. Sanyasira alpa chidra sarvaloki gai. As soon as the general public finds a little fault in the behavior of a sannyasi, they advertise it like wildfire. A black spot of ink cannot be hidden on a white cloth. It is always very prominent. And this is, for sannyasi certainly, for any devotee for that matter. So we should, not for anything else, but for our own good, we should be engaged in, Krishna's service, and that will keep us immune from all these dark spots, black spot of ink. As much as we try to keep ourselves Krishna conscious, that much we will be easily away. Durena hi avaram karma, buddhi yogad dhananjaya. Krishna says in the second chapter, how to keep away from avaram karma. दूरेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धि योगात् धनंजय बुद्धौ शरणम् अन्विच्छ कृपणाः फलहेतवः. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. So that's the key. And in that consciousness, surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. So especially the first part of this verse. Durena hi, dura means far. Durena hi avaram karma. Avaram karma means sinful activities, abominable activities. Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yogad dhananjaya. Buddhi yoga means actually bhakti yoga. So by bhakti yoga, we can keep all the sinful activities far away. So that's the point. If we just follow the principles of bhakti yoga, everything will fall in place. We don't have to extraneously endeavor for acquiring some good qualities. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunays tatra samasate suraha harava bhaktas yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana. Bhagavati akinchana means bhaktir akinchana bhakti towards Bhagavan means without any motive. If one performs devotional service without any motive, then automatically we will get all the good qualities. Again, same thing. Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yogad dhananjaya. So, who is this D updates official? You're talking about Jammu and Kashmir, how your situation is not good there. Well, at least one thing is good, you're able to watch this live stream. So I suggest, if you want to send us a message, you can send on a chat app another time, but during class, just please pay attention to the class and to the subject matter discussed here, because it is very important. Because you are saying, there is no temple there, and they are kind of denigrating our temples or whatever. Well, temple is a place for learning about Krishna consciousness, and now through online you are able to connect and also learn like this. So while we're doing this, so I would request your attention here. Okay. So going back again. शुद्ध प्रेम सुख सिंधु पाए तार एक बिंदु সেই বিন্দু জগত ডুবায় কহিবার যোগ্য নয় তথাপি বাউলে কয় কহিলে বা কে বা পাতি যায়. Unalloyed love of Krishna is like an ocean of happiness. If someone gets one drop of it, the whole world can drown in that drop. It is not befitting to express such love of Godhead, yet a madman must speak. But even though he speaks, no one believes him. Again, you're writing your messages, comments here. Please, you spend the time hearing the class. Okay? Protection of Sanatan Dharma in Bharat, all that will happen when you just hear. Nobody is hearing. The Sanatan Dharma is not symbolic that you have some temple, some saffron color cloth, some different kinds of tilak on the forehead, and that's not Sanatan Dharma. Those are externals. The actual core activity of Sanatan Dharma is Shravanam Kirtanam. That is Bhagavad Dharma. The Sanatan Dharma is completely has become a hodgepodge now. So it has to be revived from the actual core activity, which is Shravan Kirtan. Shravan means to hear. This hearing is not happening nowadays. Everybody is just going and taking some darshan and doing some external things. But that will not save anything, because nobody understands anything like that. We must understand what Krishna is speaking. So here, please, at this time, please hear. Don't write all these comments. Just focus on the hearing. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining like this: unalloyed love of Krishna is like open ocean of happiness, one drop of which can drown the entire world. So it's very nicely described here. Brahmananda, what is that? Bhavedeka. Seven 37 purport. Brahmanando, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1138. Brahmanando bhavedesha chetparardha guni kritaha naiti bhakti sukham bodheh paramanu tulamapi. If Brahmananda, the bliss of merging in the Brahman effulgence, were multiplied 100 trillion times, it would still not equal even an atomic fragment of the ocean of the transcendental bliss felt in devotional service. That's why it is said one drop of the ocean can drown the entire world. Next verse. एमत दिने दिने स्वरूप रामानंद सने निज भाव करे न विदित बाह्य विष ज्वाला होय भीतरे आनंदमय कृष्ण प्रेमार अद्भुत चरित. In this way, Lord Chaitanya used to revel in ecstasy day after day and exhibit these ecstasies before Swarup and Ramananda Rai. Externally, there appeared severe tribulation as if he was suffering from poisonous effects, but internally he was experiencing bliss. This is characteristic of transcendental love of Krishna. ei prema asvadana tapta ikshu charvana mukhajvale na jaye tyajana shei prema jar mane tar vikrama she jane vishamrite ekatra milana. If one tastes such love of Godhead, he can compare it to hot sugarcane. When one chews hot sugarcane, his mouth burns, yet he cannot give it up. Similarly, if one has but a little love of Godhead, he can perceive its powerful effects. It can only be compared to poison and nectar mixed together. Very nice verse actually. Prabhupada used this analogy many times. Hot sugarcane. Krishna consciousness is like hot sugarcane. We cannot give it up because it's sweet, and we cannot touch it because it's hot. What does it mean? So, although there are so many, even at our level, although there are so many inconveniences, like Prabhupada always used to say, all these Western boys and girls, they have, they were used to very comfortable lives, but now they have given up everything for Krishna, and they are, they have undertaken all sorts of tribulations for preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. So although it is difficult to live like that, but because they are so attracted to Krishna, they are unable to extricate themselves from such tapasya, conditions of tapasya, which is a good thing. पीडाभिर्नवकालकूटकटुता गर्वस्य निर्वासनो निस्यन्देन मुदां सुधा मधुरिमाहङ्कार संकोचन प्रेमा सुन्दरि नन्दनन्दन परो जागर्ति यस्यान्तरे ज्ञायन्ते स्फुटमस्य वक्रमधुरास्तेनैव विक्रान्तया. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke, "My dear beautiful friend, if one develops love of Godhead, love of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, all the bitter and sweet influences of this love will manifest in one's heart. Such love of Godhead acts in two ways. The poisonous effects of love of Godhead defeat the severe and fresh poison of the serpent. Yet there is simultaneously transcendental bliss which pours down and defeats the pride of nectar and diminishes its value. In other words, love of Krishna is so powerful that it simultaneously defeats the poisonous effects of a snake as well as the happiness derived from pouring nectar on one's head. It is perceived as doubly effective, simultaneously poisonous and nectarian." Vidagdha Madhava, Rupa Goswami. This verse is spoken by Paurnamasi to Nandi Mukhi in the Vidagdha Madhava 218 of Srila Rupa Goswami. Vidagdha Madhava is a drama of Krishna written by Rupa Goswami about his Vrindavan pastimes. And Lalit Madhava is the drama written by Rupa Goswami of Krishna in Dwaraka pastimes. जय काले देखे जगन्नाथ श्री राम सुभद्रा साथ तबे जाने आइलाम कुरुक्षेत्र सफल हইল जीवन देखिलु पद्मलोचन जुड़ाइलो तनु मन नेत्र. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would see Jagannath along with Balram and Subhadra, he would immediately think that he had reached Kurukshetra, where all of them had come. He would think that his life was successful because he had seen the lotus-eyed one and thus pacified his body, mind and eyes. I think a few weeks ago, Subala Prabhu was explaining in the class that of all holy places, Kurukshetra is the most highest, even than more than Vrindavan. And this is very confidential. It is because in Kurukshetra, the gopis and Krishna met after many, many years. And the feelings of separation and meeting that happened, the great churn of feelings that happened, that is not even to be found in Vrindavan. That's Vipralambha Bhava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us that that is the highest Bhava. Vipralambha means service in separation. That feeling of separation is even higher than meeting. Sangama virahe, Sangama viraha vikalpe, varamiha viraho nasangamantasya, ekasya eva sange, tribhuvanamapi tanmayam virahe. Radharani is saying, according to Padyavali of Rupa Goswami, that when I am with Krishna, I see only one Krishna in front of me. But when I am away from him, when I am devoid of his association, I see the whole world filled with Krishnas. So I want more of Krishna than just one in front of me. I want Krishna everywhere. And that feeling is possible by separation. And the full range of feelings, between the gopis and Krishna happened at Kurukshetra when the gopis finally met after a long separation from Krishna. So that mood is also there in the Jagannath Rath Yatra, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced, and he was in the mood of Radharani. He was pulling the chariot and everything. So it is in the same mood that, oh Krishna, please come back, because in the Kurukshetra, Krishna was on chariots and everything, because he was an opulence, royal opulence. So they wanted to pull him back to Vrindavan. They could not physically do so because of all the elders and everybody. But in their minds, they were having this whole Rath Yatra like feelings that they want to pull the chariot back to Vrindavan. They wanted to pull Krishna back to Vrindavan. So that mood is the Rath Yatra, and therefore, whenever he saw Jagannath, he would immediately think that he had reached Kurukshetra. So this remembrance of Kurukshetra is not in relation to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where Pandavas and Kauravas fought. No, this is about the gopis and Krishna's meeting. And this is why I think Subala Prabhu was sharing that I think Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was the one who said that Kurukshetra is, and also Bhakti Vinod Thakur or something like this. They said that Kurukshetra is the highest dham in that way. So reading on, Garudera Sannidhane Rahi Kare Darshane Shayanander Ki Kohibo Bole Garuda Stambhera Tale Achek Nimna Khale Shekhala Bharilo Ashru Jole. Staying near the Garuda Stambha, the Lord would look upon Lord Jagannath. What can be said about the strength of that love? On the ground beneath the column of the Garuda Stambha was a deep ditch, and that ditch was filled with the water of his tears. Even now you can go and see in the Garuda Stambha, there is marks of the three fingers. They say it is the stone of the Garuda Stambha melted because of that love of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So since then that pillar has been having that three dents, like as if done with three fingers. So apparently the stone melted out of that love of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport: in front of the temple of Lord Jagannath is a column on which the statue of Garuda is situated. It is called the Garuda Stambha. At the base of that column is a ditch, and that ditch was filled with the tears of the Lord. তাহা হইতে ঘরে আসি মাটির উপরে বসি নখে করে পৃথিবী লিখন হা হা কাহা বৃন্দাবন কাহা গোপেন্দ্র নন্দন কাহা সেবম শিবদন. After returning to his house from the Jagannath temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to sit on the ground and mark it with his nails. At such times he would be greatly morose and would cry, "Alas, where is Vrindavan? Where is Krishna, the son of the king of the cowherd men? Where is that person who plays the flute?" So Vipralambha at its highest. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to exhibit all this. We can only, offer our respects to this mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for two reasons, one external reason, one internal reason. The external reason is to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement and benefit the whole world. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He has given us this holy name, and through that the whole path of Krishna Prema. But the internal reason for his appearance is he wanted to taste Radharani's love for him. And that is what these pastimes are all about. Now, as much as they are very deep, we should not quickly jump into these things. We can take lessons from these that are applicable to at our level, and we can appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's level from where we are. The problem happens like when we went to Russia, we saw that devotees, when they are not even hardly situated in even sadhana bhakti, they are acting as if they are in a very high Raganuga platform, always talking about Raganuga bhakti. Why are you talking about Raganuga bhakti? First wake up for Mangalarti. I want to see you for Mangalarti first. What Raganuga bhakti? That much rag also we don't have. We talk about Raganuga bhakti. कहाँ से त्रिभंग ठाम, कहाँ से वेणुगान, कहाँ से जमुना पुलिन, कहाँ से रास विलास, कहाँ नृत्य गीत हास, कहाँ प्रभु मदन मोहन. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to lament by saying, "Where is Sri Krishna, whose form is curved in three places? Where is the sweet song of his flute, and where is the bank of the Yamuna? Where is the rasa dance? Where is that dancing, singing and laughing? Where is my Lord Madan Mohan, the enchanter of Cupid?" This constant remembrance of Krishna actually is actually non-different from Krishna. The thought of Krishna and Krishna himself are non-different. The name of Krishna and Krishna himself are non-different. This is the absolute nature of Krishna, and therefore missing Krishna is actually associating with Krishna. The absolute contradiction is perfectly harmonized because of the absolute nature of Krishna. Missing him is his intense presence, actually. When we think of somebody else, that is not equal to being with that person. But in Krishna's case, it's just the opposite. That's why are we asked to read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita? So when we read these pastimes, we're associating with Krishna. And that's what here Arjuna says. देशकालार्थयुक्तानि हृत्तापोपशमानि च हरन्ति स्मरतश्चित्तं गोविन्दाभिहितानि मे. Now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead Govinda. So this is in context of Krishna having just departed from this world, and Arjuna is unable to fathom that Krishna has already left. In order to calm himself, he is thinking about all those instructions that Krishna gave him on the battlefield. And in that way, he is pacifying himself. How does that pacify? Because by thinking of Krishna's talks, Krishna's activities, he is with Krishna. Now I'm attracted, he's saying, now I'm attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead Govinda because they're impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. The burning heart happens because of actually, that's called the samsara davanala. The forest fire is actually in the heart. Because of all the attachment that we have intense pain. It's like a burning sensation in the heart. So that samsara davanala is not anywhere else, it's in our heart. So that is relieved by the nectarian words of Krishna. And therefore there is this nice verse. This verse is actually chanted to awaken the Lord early in the morning, when before Mangalarati, when the deity is awakened, this verse is chanted at that time. सोऽसावदभ्रकरुणो भगवान् विवृद्ध प्रेमस्मितेन नयनाम्बुरुहं विजृम्भन् उत्थाय विश्वविजयाय च नो विषादम् माध्व्या गिरापनयतात् पुरुषः पुराणः. Very beautiful verse. The Lord who is supreme and is the oldest of all is unlimitedly merciful. I wish that he may smilingly bestow his benediction upon me by opening his lotus eyes. He can uplift the entire cosmic creation and kindly remove our dejection by sweetly speaking his directions. Madhya girapanayatat. Vishwa vijayaya cha no vishadam. Nah means our, no vishadam means our dejection. Utthaya vishwa vijayaya chano vishadam madhya girapanayatat purushah purana. Very beautiful verse. So madhya means by sweet, gira means words. Madhya girapanayatat purushah purana. No vishadam. So by Krishna's words, he kindly removes the burning fire of the material world. So that means we're associating with Krishna. Krishna's words and Krishna are non-different. Krishna's thoughts and Krishna are non-different. Krishna's name and Krishna are non-different. That's why there is a deity. What? Deities are made of 8 substances. Shaili, Darumayi, Lauhi, Lepya, Lekhya, Chasaikati, Manomai, Manimayi, Pratima, Ashtavidha, Smrita. See this Manomai? Lord in the form of the mental, Manasik Puja. Manasik Puja means serving the Lord in the mind. So, in the mind, like Kholavecha Sridhar, the South Indian Brahmana, they, he was thinking of Krishna and he was serving Krishna in the mind, but it had real effect. So, he was, offering sweet rice to Krishna. Actually, for many, many years, he worshipped like that. That he would, he was very, very poor. And, he would meditate that, he would go to all the holy rivers and collect in golden pots the water and then come back and bathe Krishna in that. And, he would actually start cooking and cook varieties of items, all in the mind because he has nothing, no possessions, nothing. And, in this way he was doing for many, many years. This is explained in Caitanya Charitamrita actually, this whole story. Then, one day, he was cooking the sweet rice and, just before offering to Krishna, he just wanted to test it. He wanted to touch the sweet rice to see if it was still hot because sweet rice is usually served cold. So it is more tasty. But he was just checking whether it's still hot and it was very hot and his finger burnt. And that broke his meditation and he saw his finger burnt in his body, on his body as well, as if he actually touched something hot. So at that time, Narayana was smiling in the Vaikuntha And he quickly came down and took him back. So Manomai. So thinking of Krishna is non-different from being with Krishna. Otherwise, why will there be Manomai? Let's see, what is this actually? The deity form of the Lord is said to appear in 8 varieties: stone, wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, the mind, or jewels. So in this way, the mind. So thinking of Krishna, and not only the deity of Krishna, thinking of the deity of Krishna, but thinking of the words of Krishna, the activities of Krishna. We can also be always absorbed in that way. By reading. How can we be absorbed? By reading about them. In the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita. His words, his activities in the Bhagavatam, his words in the Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, we can associate with Krishna constantly, and that association is actually, that separation is actually association. So you see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, saying, where is Krishna? This is Sahajiya, they say, oh, I saw Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, where is Krishna? And they saw Krishna. So he's also teaching here that Sahajiya, meeting Krishna is not such a cheap thing, and also Vipralambha is actually higher than meeting. So going to the next verse, Uthila nana bhava vega, mane hoilo udvega, kshanamatra nare goaite, prabhala virahanale, dhairya hoilo talamale, nana shloka lagila padite. In this way, various ecstatic emotions evolved, and the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu filled with anxiety. He could not escape even for a moment. In this way, because of fierce feelings of separation, his patience began to totter and he began to recite various verses. So, here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is reciting the verses, and in the Antilila, you will see that Swarup Damodar and Ramanand Rai would chant the verses that would suit the particular mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that moment. I mean, imagine the level of understanding of the Lord that they had. We are trying to quote Shastric references based on the philosophical points that we want to say, or we want to argue against someone according to the Siddhanta. But according to rasa, according to understanding the feelings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when he's feeling certain, intense emotion and the fire of that separation, they would chant a verse which would cool him down. Or when he's feeling cool, then they would actually agitate him, with, some verse which will actually intensify his. They were actually helping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or you cannot help Krishna, seemingly, externally, assisting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mood. So serving him to, ride the waves, surf the waves of emotion that he was feeling in that ocean of nectarian love of Godhead that he was feeling. And it's beautiful to read them. Of course, no entrance into the topics at all. But just wonderful to see, how they kind of, what is the word? Complemented his feelings with Shastric references. Mostly from Geet Govinda of Jayadev Goswami, Krishna Karnamrita of Bilamangal Thakur, and Srimad Bhagavatam, like that. अमून्यधन्यानि दिनान्तराणि हरे त्वदालोकनमन्तरेण अनाथबन्धो करुणैकसिन्धो हा हन्त कथं नयामि. Beautiful verse, huh? Anatha bandho karunaika sindho. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O friend of the helpless, you are the only ocean of mercy. Because I have not met you, my inauspicious days and nights have become unbearable. I do not know how I shall pass the time. Purport, this is a verse from the Krishna Karnamrita. See, there you go. Krishna Karnamrita 41 by Bilumangal Thakur. Very beautiful verse. Let's chant that again. Amunya dhanyani adhanyani. No dhanam. Inauspicious. Oh, dhanya, sorry. Dhanya means auspiciousness. Adhanam, I thought dhana. Dhanya. Actually, it's kind of the same thing. The favor of fortune, the goddess of fortune, auspiciousness. Dhanya. Adhanyani. Inauspicious. Amuni, all those. Dinantarani, other days. Hare tvadalokanam mantarena. Amunyadhanyani dinantarani hare tvadalokanam anatha bandho karunaika sindho ha hanta katham nayami. तुम्हारा दर्शन विने अधन्य ए रात्रि दिने ए काल न जाए काटना तुमी अनाथेर बंधु अपार करुणा सिंधु कृपा करे देह दर्शन. So same thing in Bengali. All these inauspicious days and nights are not passing, for I have not met you. It is difficult to know how to pass all this time. But you are the friend of the helpless and an ocean of mercy. Kindly give me your audience, for I am in a precarious position. Now, this kind of feeling, one can have a very dim reflection of it. When somebody in our near and dear passes away, then we feel this emptiness. We are unable to spend our time with anything, on anything. We don't have any more interest in anything in this world. But it only stays for a while. It doesn't last too long. It's transient. But for the time being, when somebody passes away, when somebody means a lot to us, when we're attached to somebody, and that person passes away, that sense of missing that person multiplied by 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000 and 1,000,000,000,000 times is a glimpse of what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually feeling. And that fire, I mean, that, what is that? What is that? Shikshashtaka 7th verse. Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrashayitam shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. So yugayitam nimeshena. One moment is like 12 years. It's like it's difficult to pass. You see, all these inauspicious days and nights are not passing. For us, we sleep and then, already so fast morning. So quickly it has come, We feel like that. But you see, are not passing. उठिलो भाव चापल मन होइलो चंचल भावेर गति बुझन ना जाए अदर्शने पड़े मन के मने पाव दर्शन कृष्ण ठाए पूछे न उपाय. In this way, the Lord's restlessness was awakened by ecstatic feelings and his mind became agitated. No one could understand what course such ecstasy would take. Because Lord Chaitanya could not meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, his mind burned. He began to ask Krishna about the means by which he could reach him. Tvachhaishavam tribhuvanadbhutamityavehi Macchapalam chatavava mamavadhigamyam tam tatkim karomi viralam murali vilasi mugdham mukhambujamudikshitumikṣanabhyam. So here there's one comment. I don't think the South Indian Brahmin is called Kholavecha Sridhar. He's the one who received Mahaprabhu's mercy. Yes. He's the one who could not read properly. Yes. But Kholavecha Sridhar is also from Tattvavit dāsa, I think. That's how I remember. This is another nice verse here. Krishna Karnamrita again. There you go. How beautiful composition, Biluvangal Thakur. O Krishna, O flute player, the sweetness of your early age is wonderful within these three worlds. You know my unsteadiness and I know yours. No one else knows about this. I want to see your beautiful, attractive face somewhere in a solitary place, but how can this be accomplished? Okay, so this is very high level of, bhava. This is another quote from the Krishna Karnamrita 32 of Biluvangal Thakur. তোমার মাধুরী বলা তাতে মোর চাপালা এই দুই তুমি আমি জানি কাহা করো কাহা যান কাহা গেলে তোমা পান তাহা মোরে কহত আপনি. My dear Krishna, only you and I know the strength of your beautiful features, and because of them my unsteadiness. Now this is my position. I do not know what to do or where to go. Where can I find you? I am asking you to give directions. Nana bhaver prabalya hoilo sandhi shabalya bhave bhave hoilo maharana autsukya chapalya dainya roshamarša adi sainya premon madasabara karana. All kinds of feelings, you see. Because of the various kinds of ecstasy, contradictory states of mind occurred, and this resulted in a great fight between different types of ecstasy. Anxiety, impudence, humility, anger, and impatience were all like soldiers fighting, and the madness of love of Godhead was the cause. Wow. Battlefield of ecstasies. Who would have thought? This is very difficult to even comprehend how much the intensity of this Mahabhava of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is stated that when similar ecstasies from separate causes meet, they are called Svarupa Sandhi. When opposing elements meet, whether they arise from a common cause or different causes, their conjunction is called Bhinna Rupa Sandhi. The meeting of contradictory ecstasies. The simultaneous joining of different ecstasies, fear and happiness, regret and happiness, is called meeting, Sandhi. The word Shabalya refers to different types of ecstatic symptoms combined together, like pride, despondency, humility, remembrance, doubt, impatience caused by insult, fear, disappointment, patience, and eagerness. The friction that occurs when these combine is called Shabalya. Wow, there's a word for that. Similarly, when the desire to see the object is very prominent, or when one is unable to tolerate any delay in seeing the desired object, the incapability is called Autsukya, or eagerness. If such eagerness is present, one's mouth dries up and one becomes restless. One also becomes full of anxiety, and hard breathing and patience are observed. Restless and patience. Similarly, the lightness of heart caused by strong attachment and strong agitation of the mind is called impudence, Chapalya. Failure of judgment, misuse of words, and obstinate activities devoid of anxiety are observed. Similarly, when one becomes too angry at the other party, offensive and abominable speech occurs, and this anger is called rosha. When one becomes impatient due to being scolded or insulted, the resultant state of mind is called amarsha. In this state of mind, one perspires, acquires a headache, fades in bodily color, and experiences anxiety and an urge to search out the remedy. The bearing of a grudge, aversion, and chastisement are all visible symptoms. And imagine all of that is just together in the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. मत्त गज भावगण प्रभुर देह इक्षुवन गज युद्धे वनिर्दलन प्रभुर हईल दिव्योन्माद तनु मनेर अवसाद भावावेशे करे संबोधन. The body of the Lord was just like a field of sugarcane into which the mad elephants of ecstasy entered. There was a fight amongst the elephants, and in the process, the entire field of sugarcane was destroyed. Thus, transcendental madness was awakened in the body of the Lord, and he experienced despondency in the mind and body. In this ecstatic condition, he began to speak as follows. Now, this description is one of devastation, a complete destruction. But in that destruction is the highest happiness, and this is so enigmatic. It's very difficult to fathom, but that is the ecstasy of the Lord. What is this tune? Oh. हे देव हे दयित हे भुवनैक बंधो हे कृष्ण हे चपल हे करुणैक सिंधो हे नाथ हे रमण हे नयनाभिराम हा हा कदानुभवितासि पदं दृशोर्मे. What a beautiful verse this is. हे देव हे दयित हे भुवनैक बंधो हे कृष्ण हे चपल हे करुणैक सिंधो हे नाथ हे रमण हे नयनाभिराम हा हा कदानुभवितासि पदं दृशोर्मे. O my Lord, O dearest one, O only friend of the universe, O Krishna, O restless one, O ocean of mercy, O only ocean of mercy, O my Lord, O my enjoyer, O beloved to my eyes, alas, when will you again be visible to me? Wow. Krishna Karnamrita. Bilumangal Thakur ki jai. This is text 40 of the Krishna Karnamrita. What kind of composition? Beauty. Absolute beauty. उन्मादेर लक्षण कराय कृष्ण स्फुरण भावावेशे उठे प्रणय मान सोलुंठ वचन रीति मान गर्व व्याज स्तुति कभु निंदा कभु वा सम्मान. The symptoms of madness served as an impetus for remembering Krishna. The mood of ecstasy awoke love, disdain, defamation by words, pride, honor, and indirect prayer. Thus, Sri Krishna was sometimes blasphemed and sometimes honored. Wow. Purport. The word Unmada is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as extreme joy, misfortune, and bewilderment in the heart due to separation. Just imagine how these things can exist at the same time. As much as Krishna is the harmony of all contradictions, devotional service also is. And especially in the stage of prema, it's even more so, as you can see here. All kinds of conflicting emotions are perfectly in harmony and is actually um, augmenting the situation, augmenting, or what is the aggravating the situation. There is another word. Forgot, just like that. Okay. So the extreme joy, misfortune, and bewilderment in the heart due to separation. Symptoms of unmada are laughing like a madman, dancing, singing, performing ineffectual activities, talking nonsense, running, shouting, and sometimes working in contradictory ways. Enhance? No. Exacerbate. Exacerbate. So exacerbate means actually to make a bad condition even worse. It's kind of like that, but it's actually transcendently blissful. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's situation was bad, but it was exacerbated. Sorry, exacerbated. Yeah, that's the correct pronunciation. Exacerbated by further emotions, but actually it became even more relishable, more sweet. You know, the word pranaya is explained thus. In fact, I mean, just now that Krishna Karnamrita, these can be even chanted by us. You know, they are like, this is Madhya 2.65, right? I mean, at our level, we can still appreciate these verses. We are not in that, at least I'm not in that prema stage, nowhere close, far away. But even so, Krishna consciousness is so good that just like Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita, how many other times you read, they will be applicable and relevant at all those levels. 1 second. 1 second. Some. Just a moment. There's a class going on now. How to do? Don't do. This is nice quote here. जत देखो वैष्णव व्यवहार दुख निश्चय जानिह ताहा परमानंद सुख. 519.5. Yeah, this is very nice. $519.5. This is about Ram and Sita. So the external lessons are also internal. The pralambha going on. CB Madhya Khanda. जत देखो वैष्णवेर व्यवहार दुख निश्चय जानिह ताहा परमानंद सुख. Okay, so going back. Yeah, so what I was saying was, at all levels, these verses, of course, some are very, very high level and, we can't get there. But these kind of verses, they're applicable at our level and also at um, you know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's level. So all these verses are extremely deep, and all the verses of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam can be relished like that by everyone all the time. Okay. The word pranaya, where are we? Yeah. Symptoms of unmada are laughing like a madman, dancing, singing, performing ineffectual activity. Ineffectual activities means activities without any purpose, no effect, like meaningless activities. Talking nonsense, running, shouting, and sometimes working in contradictory ways. The word pranaya is explained as when there is a possibility of receiving direct honor, but it is avoided. That love is called pranaya. Interesting. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Haladini Shaktirasmad Pranaya. Sorry, I'm taking your time. Sri Rupa Goswami in his Ujjvala Nilamani explains the word mana thus. When the lover feels novel sweetness by exchanging hearty, loving words but wishes to hide his feelings by crooked means, mana is experienced. So reading on, 67, text 67. Tumi deva kridarata bhuvanera narijata tahe kara abhishta kridana tumi mora daita mote vaise tumar chita mor bhagye koile agaman. In the attitude of Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu addressed Krishna. My dear Lord, you are engaged in your pastimes and you utilize all the women in the universe according to your desire. You are so kind to me. Please divert your attention to me, for by fortune you have appeared before me. भुवनेर नारीगण सभा कर आकर्षण ताहा कर सब समाधान तुमी कृष्ण चित्त हर ऐच्छे कन पामर तुम्हारे वाके वाको रे मान. My dear Lord, you attract all the women of the universe and you make adjustments for all of them when they appear. You are Lord Krishna and you can enchant everyone, but on the whole, you are nothing but a debauchee. Who can honor you? Lampata. Aslishyava padaratam pinashtumam adarshanan marmahatam karotuva yatha tatha va vidadhatul lampata mat prananathastu saevanaparaha. Although you are lampata, you are debauchee, that means you are not faithful to one woman. You are a lampat, but still you are my Lord of my life. There is a definition of love that even there's every chance, every reason for it to break, but if it still does not break, that is love. And it not just does not break in Krishna's, in the case of love of Godhead, it actually increases. So, like even if you see Pandavas, their whole life was full of tribulations, but never was their devotion at any time lessened or decreased because of that. Antya 15.26-27, what is that? সেই দুই জন প্রভুরে করে আশ্বাসন স্বরূপ গায় রায় করে শ্লোক পঠন To enhance the ecstatic mood of the Lord, Swarup Damodar Goswami would sing appropriate songs and Ramananda Rai would recite suitable verses. In this way, they were able to pacify him. Karnamrita Vidyapati Shri Gita Govinda Ihara Shloka Gite Prabhur Korai Ananda. Yes. The Lord especially liked to hear Bilamangal Thakur's Krishna Karnamrita, the poetry of Vidyapati, and Shri Gita Govinda Bajayadev Goswami. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt great pleasure in his heart when his associates chanted verses and sang songs from these books. Oh, what is this? Oh. Where was our number? I completely lost track now. 67 finished, is it? Hmm. 68. So 2.69 Madhya. তোমার চপলমতি একত্র না হয় স্থিতি তাতে তোমার নাহি কিছু দোষ তুমি তো করুণা সিন্ধু আমার পরাণ বন্ধু তোমায় নাহি মোর কভু রোষ. So this is the Ashlishava Padaratham. My dear Krishna, your mind is always restless. You cannot remain in one place, but you are not at fault for this. You are actually the ocean of mercy, the friend of my heart. Therefore, I have no reason to be angry with you. See? All kinds of feelings. Tumi nath vraja prana vrajera karo paritrana bahu karye nahi avakash tumi amar ramana sukha dite agamana e tomar vaidagdhya vilas. Vaidagdhya actually is an expert transaction. Vidagdha means expert. Vaidagdhya means expert transaction. Vaidagdhya vilas. My dear Lord, you are the master and the life and soul of Vrindavan. Kindly arrange for the deliverance of Vrindavan. We have no leisure hours away from our main activities. Actually, you are my enjoyer. You have appeared just to give me happiness, and this is one of your expert activities. Purport. The word Vaidagdhya means that one is very expert, learned, humorous, cunning, beautiful, and skilled in manifesting caricatures. Not just expert in these things. मोर वाक्य निंदा मानी कृष्ण छाड़ी गेला जानी सुन मोरो स्तुति वचन नयनेर अभिराम तुमी मोर धन प्राण हाहा पुनः देह दर्शन. Taking my words as defamation, Lord Krishna has left me. I know that he is gone, but kindly hear my prayers and praise. You are the satisfaction of my eyes. You are my wealth and my life. Alas, please give me your audience once again. स्तंभकंप प्रस्वेद वैवर्ण्य अश्रुस्वर भेद देह हैलो पुलके व्यापित हासे कांदे नाचे गाए उठीति उति धाय क्षणे भूमे पड़िया मूर्छित. There were different transformations of the body of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being stunned, trembling, perspiring, fading away of color, weeping and choking of the voice. In this way, his whole body was pervaded by transcendental joy. As a result, sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would laugh, sometimes cry, sometimes dance, and sometimes sing. Sometimes he would get up and run here and there, and sometimes fall on the ground and lose consciousness. Purport. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, 8 kinds of transcendental changes taking place in the body are described. Stambha, being stunned, refers to the mind's becoming transcendently absorbed. In that state, the peaceful mind is placed on the life air, and different bodily transformations are manifest. These symptoms are visible in the body of an advanced devotee. When life becomes almost inactive, it is called stunned. The emotions resulting from this condition are joy, fear, astonishment, moroseness, and anger. In this condition, the power of speech is lost and there is no movement in the hands and legs. Otherwise, being stunned is a mental condition. Many other symptoms are visible on the entire body in the beginning. These are very subtle, but gradually they become very apparent. When one cannot speak, naturally one's active senses are arrested and the knowledge acquiring senses are rendered inoperative. Kampa, trembling of the body, is mentioned in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as a result of a special kind of fear, anger, and joy. This is called Vepathu or Kampa. When the body begins to perspire because of joy, fear, and anger combined, this is called Sveda. Vaivarnya is described as a change in the bodily color. Vaivanya Vepathu, Hobe Sanghatana. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings like that. It is caused by a combination of moroseness, anger, and fear. When these emotions are experienced, the complexion turns pale and the body becomes lean and thin. Ashru is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as a combination of joy, anger, and moroseness that causes water to flow from the eyes without effort. When there is joy and there are tears in the eyes, the temperature of the tears is cold. But when there is anger, the tears are hot. In both cases, the eyes are restless. The eyeballs are red and there is itching. These are all symptoms of Ashru. When there is a combination of moroseness, astonishment, anger, joy, and fear, there is a choking in the voice. This choking is called Gadgada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refers to Gadgada Ruddhaya Gira, or a faltering voice. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Pulaka is described as joy, encouragement, and fear. When these combine, the hairs on the body stand on end, and this bodily state is called Pulaka. Murchhaya hoilo sakshatkara, uthi kore hunkara, kohe ei aila mahashoy, Krishnara madhuri gune, nana brahma hoy mane, shloka pade karaye nishchay. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thus unconscious, he happened to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, he got up and immediately made a tumultuous sound, very loudly declaring, "Now Krishna, the great personality, is present." In this way, because of Krishna's sweet qualities, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made different types of mistakes in his mind. Thus, by reciting the following verse, he ascertained the presence of Lord Krishna. Marah swayam nu madhura dyuti mandalam nu madhuryameva nu mano nayanamritam nu veni mrijo nu mamadjivita vallabho nu Krishnoyam abhyudayate mama lochanaya. Who's this? Krishna Karnamrita. There you go. 68. What beautiful verses he's composing. I think we should read that again. Marah swayam nu madhura dyuti mandalam nu madhuryameva nu mano nayanamritam nu veni mrijo nu mama jivita vallabho nu Krishnoyam abhyudayate mama lochanaya. Translation. In the attitude of Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu addressed the gopis. My dear friends, has Krishna, Cupid personified, who has the effulgence of a kadamba flower, who is sweetness itself, the nectar of my eyes and mind, he who loosens the hair of the gopis, who is the supreme source of transcendental bliss of my life and soul. Has that Krishna come before my eyes again? You see, and the, there is a charm in the Sanskrit. Of course, it's very melodious and, rhythmic. But the nu so many times. Nu is here translated as weather. Weather, whether this happened, whether this is true, whether that Jivita Vallabha, whether that Venimrajo, whether that Mama Jivita Vallabha, whether that Mano Nayanamritam, that the nectar for the eyes and the mind, whether that Madhura Dyuti Mandalam, what is that sweet complexion, the abode of sweet complexion, the abode of sweet, whether that abode of sweetness. So whether, so many times whether. If so, whether he has come, whether that, whether this, whether that, whether. So different names of Krishna, and so that eagerness, whether, saying so many times whether, it highlights the eagerness with which that and when somebody, actually there are a few, jaga, he was saying, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying jaga, and when he saw Jagannath, he was just like repeating himself so many times. So that's ecstasy, excitement. So this is actually excitement, whether this no so many times, whether Mara Swayam no, whether that Cupid personified, whether that complexion, beautiful complexion person, whether that beauty, what is that, sweetness personified. So in this way, whether, very beautiful. The English, almost doesn't do that justice to that eagerness of course here who is mentioned, but whether that Krishna has come before my eyes. Kibai sakshat kama dyutibimba murtiman, ki madhurya swayam murtimanta, kiba mano netrotsava, kiba prana vallabha, satya Krishna aila netrananda. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then began to talk like this. Actually, is Cupid personified present with the effulgence and reflection of the Kadamba tree? Is he the same person, personified sweetness, who is the pleasure of my eyes and mind, who is my life and soul? Has Krishna actually come before my eyes? So in that, the eagerness, the ecstasy, the happiness with which Radharani is saying this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying this. Guru Nana Bhavagana Shishya Prabhur Tanumana Nana Rite Satatana Chaya Nirveda Vishad Dainya Chapalya Harsha Dhairya Manyu Enritya Prabhur Kala Jai. As the spiritual master chastises the disciple and teaches him the art of devotional service, so all the ecstatic symptoms of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, including despondency, moroseness, humility, restlessness, joy, endurance and anger, instructed his body and mind. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed his time. Even the descriptions are very poetic. Chandidasa Vidyapati Rayara Nataka Giti Karnamrita Shri Gita Govinda Swarupa Ramananda Sane Mahaprabhu Ratri Dine Gai Shune Paramananda. He also passed his time reading the books and singing the songs of Chandidas and Vidyapati and listening to quotations from Jagannath Vallabha Natak of Ramananda Rai, Krishna Karnamrita of Bilmangal Thakur and Geet Govinda of Jayadev Goswami. Thus, in the association of Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramanand, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed his days and nights chanting and hearing with great pleasure. Purira Vatsalya Mukhya Ramanandera Shuddha Sakhya Govindadyera Shuddha Dasya Rasa Gadadhara Jagadananda Swarupera Mukhya Rasananda Echari bhave prabhu vasha. Among his associates, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enjoyed paternal loving affection from Paramananda Puri, friendly affection with Ramananda Rai, unalloyed service from Govinda and others, and humors of conjugal love with Gadadhar, Jagadanand, and Swarup Damodar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enjoyed all these four mellows and thus he remained obliged to his devotees. Purport. Paramananda Puri is said to have been Uddhava in Vrindavan. His affections with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were on the platform of paternal love. This was because Paramananda Puri happened to be the god brother of the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Similarly, Ramananda Rai, who is considered an incarnation of Arjuna and by some an incarnation of Vishakha Devi, enjoyed unalloyed fraternal love with the Lord. Unalloyed personal service was enjoyed by Govinda and others. In the presence of his most confidential devotees like Gadadhar Pandit, Jagadananda, and Swarup Damodar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enjoyed the ecstatic conditions of Srimati Radharani in her conjugal relationship with Krishna. Absorbed in these four transcendental mellows, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu resided in Jagannath Puri, feeling very much obliged to his devotees. How many verses do we have? "95." So we'll try to see if we can finish it. लीला शुकमर्त्य जन तार होय भावोद्गम ईश्वरे से की हा विस्मय ताहे मुख्य रसाश्रय हय अच्छेन महाशय ताते होय सर्व भावोदय. Leela Shuka, Bilumangal Thakur, was an ordinary human being, yet he developed many ecstatic symptoms in his body. What then is so astonishing about these symptoms being manifested in the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? In the ecstatic mood of conjugal love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on the highest platform. Therefore, all the exuberant ecstasies were naturally visible in his body. Purport. Leela Shuka is Bilumangal Thakur Goswami. He was a South Indian, a Brahmana, and his former name was Shilhana Mishra. When he was a householder, he became attracted to a prostitute named Chintamani, but eventually he took her advice and became renounced. Thus, he wrote a book named Shanti Shataka, and later, by the mercy of Lord Krishna and the Vaishnavas, he became a great devotee. Thus, he became famous as Bilvamangal Thakur Goswami. On that elevated platform, he wrote a book named Krishna Karnamrita, which is very famous amongst Vaishnavas. Since he exhibited so many ecstatic symptoms, people used to call him Leela Shuka. Very interesting. पूर्वे व्रज विलासे जैतिन अभिलाषे यत्नेह आस्वादना होइल श्री राधार भाव सार आपने करे अंगीकार शैतिन वस्तु आस्वादिल. During his previous pastimes in Vrindavan, Lord Krishna desired to enjoy the three different types of ecstasy, but despite great endeavor, he could not taste them. Such ecstasies are the monopoly of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, in order to taste them, Sri Krishna accepted the position of Srimati Radharani in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. आपने करे आस्वादने शिखाइलो भक्त गणे प्रेम चिंता मणिर प्रभु धनी नाही जाने स्थाना स्थान जारे तारे कैलो दान Mahaprabhu Data Shiromani. By personally tasting the mellows of love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his direct disciples the process. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a wealthy capitalist, possessing the touchstone of love of God. Not considering whether one is a proper or improper recipient, he gives his treasure to anyone and everyone. Thus, he is the most munificent. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's capital is the touchstone of love of Godhead, and consequently, he is a great owner of that transcendental treasure. After making unlimited amounts of gold, the touchstone remains the same. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although distributing love of Godhead unlimitedly, still remained the supreme owner of this transcendental opulence. His devotees who learned it from him also had to distribute it munificently all over the world. This Krishna consciousness movement, following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his confidential devotees, is also trying to distribute love of Godhead all over the world through the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. এই গুপ্ত ভাব সিন্ধু ব্রহ্মা না পায় এক বিন্দু হেন ধন বিলাইল সংসারে ঐছে দয়ালু অবতার ঐছে দাতা নাহি আর গুণ কে হোনারে বর্ণিবারে. No one, not even Lord Brahma, can ascertain or even taste a drop of this confidential ocean of ecstasy, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, has distributed this love of Godhead all over the world. Thus, there cannot be any incarnation more munificent than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is no greater donor. Who can describe his transcendental qualities? Kohibaro katha nahe, kohile ke ho na bujhaye, oiche chitra chaitanyar ranga, sheishe bujhite pare, chaitanyar kripa jare, hoy tar dasanudasa sanga. Such topics are not to be discussed freely, because if they are, no one will understand them. Such are the wonderful pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Unto one who is able to understand, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown mercy by giving him the association of the servant of his own servant. Purport. An ordinary person cannot understand the transcendental ecstasies in the mode of Srimati Radharani. Unfit persons who try to understand them are perverted into the Sahajiya, Baula and other sampradayas. Thus the teachings are perverted. So this is called a curse. An unqualified person, when he comes somewhere into a domain into which he is not fit for, then he will be cursed. In the Tattva Sandarbha, in the 6th Anucheda, it is said, Yah Shri Krishna Padam Bhoje Bhajanai Ka Bhilashavan Tenaiva Drishyatame Etad Anyasmai Shapathorpitaha. Shapathorpitaha means cursed. So only those people who have unalloyed devotion to Krishna as their goal, those who only want that, should read this book. Others who try to read this book will be cursed. And this is true for everything. I mean, Vedeshu Durlabham. When Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyah. By all Vedas I am to be known. But then Brahma Samhita says, Vedeshu Durlabham. By study of the Vedas, he is unable to be achieved. One cannot find him by studying the Vedas. How? This is called the curse of the Vedas. Only by bhakti can we actually attain the real benefit of reading the Vedas. Similarly, these higher ecstasy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this highest ecstasy in fact, is not to be freely discussed, because those who try to enter into this prematurely will become Sahajiyas, Baulas and other unauthorized followers of Vaishnavism. And the teachings will be perverted and the actions will be perverted. So they will actually be cursed. Just like the gopis, Krishna's topics with the gopis are not to be discussed among all devotees. Only pure devotees actually can discuss about it. So reading on the purport, even learned scholars in the academic field cannot understand the transcendental bliss and ecstasy exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his pure devotees. One must be fit to understand the purport of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. Chaitanya Leela Ratnasara Swarupera Bhandara Teho Thuila Raghunather Kanthe Taha Kichuye Shunilu Taha Iha Vistarilu Bhaktagane Dilu E Bhete. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are the topmost of jewels. They have been kept in the storehouse of Swarup Damodar Goswami, who has explained them to Raghunath Goswami, who has repeated them to me. Parampara system. Whatever little I have heard from Raghunath Goswami, I have described in this book, which is presented to all devotees. Purport. All the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were noted by his personal secretary Swarup Damodar and repeated to Raghunath Das Goswami, who memorized them. Whatever Kṛṣṇadāsa Kaviraj Goswami heard is recorded in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is called the Parampara system. From Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Swarup Damodar to Raghunath Das Goswami to Kaviraj Goswami. Kṛṣṇadāsa Kaviraj Goswami has distributed this information in his book Chaitanya Charitamrita. In other words, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is the essence of the instruction given through the Parampara system of the disciplic succession stemming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jadi ke ho he no koi grantha koilo shlokamoy itara jane nari be bujhite prabhur jay acharana shekari varnana sarva chitta nari aradhite. If one says that Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is full of Sanskrit verses and therefore not understandable by a common man, I reply that what I have described are the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and that for me to satisfy everyone is not possible. Purport. Srila Kṛṣṇadāsa Kaviraj Goswami and one who follows in his footsteps do not have to cater to the public. Their business is simply to satisfy the previous acharyas and describe the pastimes of the Lord. One who is able to understand can relish this exalted transcendental literature, which is actually not meant for ordinary persons like scholars and literary men. Generally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes recorded in the Chaitanya Charitamrita are studied in universities and scholastic circles from a literary and historical point of view, but actually Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is not a subject matter for research workers or literary scholars. It is simply meant for those devotees who have dedicated their lives to the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a very important purport. We should not cater to the public. In fact, we should, Prabhupada said, we should not adjust our philosophy to suit the public. The public should suit themselves or adjust themselves to suit the philosophy. So that is the art of preaching, that we should not compromise, but we should get them to accept our conclusion. Our conclusion means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conclusion through the Parampara system. Nahi kaha savirodha, nahi kaha anurodha, sahaja vastu kare vivarana, jadi hoye ragodesha, taha hoye avesha, sahaja vastu na jaya likhana. In this Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is no contradictory conclusion, nor is anyone else's opinion accepted. I have written this book to describe the simple substance as I have heard it from superiors. If I become involved in someone's likes and dislikes, I cannot possibly write the simple truth. It's actually very, very important, these things. You see, if I become involved in someone's likes and dislikes, I cannot possibly write the simple truth. Purport. The simplest thing for human beings is to follow their predecessors. Judgment according to mundane senses is not a very easy process. Whatever is awakened by attachment to one's predecessor is the way of devotional service as indicated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whatever is awakened by attachment to one's predecessor is the way of devotional service as indicated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The author says, however, that he cannot consider the opinions of those who become attracted or repelled by such things, because one cannot write impartially in that way. In other words, the author is stating that he did not inject personal opinion in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He has simply described his spontaneous understanding from superiors. If he had been carried away by someone's likes and dislikes, he could not have written of such a sublime subject matter in such an easy way. The actual facts are understandable to real devotees. When these facts are recorded, they are very congenial to the devotees, but one who is not a devotee cannot understand. Such is the subject matter for realization. Mundane scholarship and its concomitant attachments and detachments cannot arouse spontaneous love of Godhead. Such love cannot be described described by a mundane scholar. This is actually so important. This is the simple formula for preaching and following. So we should just repeat. That's why Prabhupada, he called it Bhagavad Gita as it is. He did not try to, cater to somebody's likes and dislikes. He just catered to Krishna's likes. Krishna's like. So if the predecessor acharyas are satisfied, that's all he cared for, Prabhupada. So he just repeated their teachings in a way that we could understand, in a simple way. He translated so many books. It's not an easy subject to translate, but he translated easily because what Prabhupada said here in this purport is very important. Simplest thing to do for us is to follow the predecessors. No speculation involved, nothing need to be considered. Just follow and that's it. We are safe. And that's why Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, first he says this, Vitarāga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupāśritaah bahavo jnana tapasa pūtā madbhāvamāgataah. Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So this is the predecessors before, in the past, right? They all attained love for me. Now, just 5 verses later, he says, Evam jnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvaihi purvataram kritam. All the liberated souls, explained in the 10th verse of the chapter, who all attain perfection, all the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Purvaihi purvataram kritam. Kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvaihi purvataram kritam. Following in the footsteps of predecessor acharyas. So that's what is the easy path shown to Arjuna and to us as well. Otherwise, if you want to speculate, then kleshodikatarastesham klishyantiye kevala bodhalabdhaye. But if we follow, we don't have to think extra anything more. We're already following the perfect path. Very nicely explained here, Prabhupada, in the purport. जेबा नाही बुझे के हो सुनिते सुनित से हो कि अद्भुत चैतन्य चरित कृष्णे उपजीवे प्रीति जानिबे रसेर रीति सुनिले बड़ होय हित. If one does not understand in the beginning but continues to hear it again and again, the wonderful effects of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes will bring love for Krishna. Gradually, one will come to understand the loving affairs between Krishna and the gopis and other associates of Vrindavan. Everyone is advised to continue to hear over and over again in order to greatly benefit. Bhagavata shlokamoy tika taras samskrita hoy tabu kaiche bujhe tribhuvana iha shloka dui chare tar vyakhya bhasha kare kene na bujhibe sarva jana. In reply to those critics who say that Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is full of Sanskrit verses, it can be said that Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of Sanskrit verses as are the commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. Nonetheless, Srimad Bhagavatam can be understood by everyone as well as by advanced devotees who study the Sanskrit commentaries. Why then will people not understand the Chaitanya Charitamrita? There are only a few Sanskrit verses and these have been explained in the Bengali vernacular. What is the difficulty in understanding? Now we don't even understand the Bengali, for those who are not Bengalis. Prabhupada actually translated into English. Now who cannot understand? And his books have been translated into all the major languages of the world. Now who cannot? What is the difficulty in understanding? It has become even more and more approachable. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is making himself more and more approachable through his books in different languages like this. शेष लीलार सूत्रगण कइलो किछु विवरण इहा विस्तारित चित्त হয় থাকে যদি আয়ু শেষ विस्तारिब लीला शेष যদি महाप्रभुर कृपा হয়. I have already given a synopsis of all the facts and figures of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's last pastimes and I have a desire to describe them elaborately. If I remain longer and I am fortunate enough to receive the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I shall try to describe them again more elaborately. So Prabhupada actually did this regarding the Krishna book, the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam as well. Just in case he did not remain long enough to write the entire 10th canto translations and purports, he made the Krishna book for us to read. So in that way, he gave in synopsis the whole thing. But of course his disciples carried on. But Prabhupada's exposition of the 10th canto is there. आमि वृद्धा जरा आतुर लिखिते कांपय कर मने किछु स्मरण ना होय ना देखिए नयने ना सुनिए श्रवणे तब लिखी ए बड़ विस्मय. This is actually very touching. If you only understand Bengali, this is like very touching. I have now become too old and disturbed by invalidity. While I write, my hands tremble. I cannot remember anything, nor can I see or hear properly. Still I write, and this is a great wonder. How much, the Acharyas have taken trouble to write this, these literatures, and Prabhupada also, if you see how he day and night translated these scriptures for us. We don't have enough gratefulness for them. That's why all devotees, we should actually read this every day. Every day they wrote. Prabhupada wrote every single night. Kṛṣṇadāsa Kaviraj is saying, my hands are trembling. I don't have strength in my hands to hold my pen. The feather, of course, the scribe. And he said, I cannot remember anything. I cannot see or hear properly. Look at his condition of his health. His body is almost finished due to old age. He was at the fag end of his life. He's saying, still I write, and this is a great wonder. If he did not write, how would we have known? Right? So, a lot of devotees, they haven't read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Forget about it. Bhagavatam haven't read. Haven't read the Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita haven't finished. So there has to be some sincerity and some gratitude and actual inquisitiveness and interest in the subject. एयंत्य लीला सार सूत्र मध्य विस्तार करे किछु करिलु वर्णन इहा मध्य मरि जाबे वर्णिते ना पारि तबे ए लीला भक्त गण धन. You see, he's thinking about the future devotees although he was not confident whether he would live. In this chapter, I have to some extent described the essence of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya at the end. If I die in the meantime and cannot describe them in detail, at least the devotees will have this transcendental treasure. How can we repay? How can we repay this kind of contribution? We just can't do enough justice. The only thing, if we have any shame, is to read these books. If we have any shame, forget about inquisitiveness, sincerity, at least shame if we have. After having known this, we should at least read. That much we can do. In our youth, he has written when he is old, like that, almost at the verge of death, at the cusp of death. At least we can read in our youth. সংক্ষেপে সূত্র কইল যে ইহা না লিখিল আগে তাহা করিব বিস্তার যদি ততদিন জিয়ে মহাপ্রভুর কৃপা হয় ইচ্ছা ভরে করিব বিচার. See how he is writing. In this chapter, I have briefly described the Antilila. Whatever I have not described, I shall describe extensively in the future. If by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy I live for so many days that I can fulfill my desires, I will give full consideration to these pastimes. छोट बड़ भक्तगण वंदो सबार श्री चरण सबे मोरे करह संतोष स्वरूप गोसाईर मत रूप रघुनाथ जाने जत ताय लिखे नाहि मोर दोष. I worship herewith the lotus feet of all kinds of devotees, both advanced and neophyte. I request all of them to be satisfied with me. I am faultless because I have written herein whatever I have understood from Swarup Damodar Goswami and Rupa and Raghunath Das Goswamis. I have neither added to nor subtracted from their version. Purport. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there are three kinds of devotees known as Bhajana Vigna, experts in devotional service. The three kinds of devotees known as Bhajana Vigna, experts in devotional service, Bhajana Shila, devotees engaged in devotional service, and Krishna Name Dikshita, Krishna Nama Kari, initiated devotees engaged in chanting. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita begs the mercy of all these devotees and asks them to be pleased with him. He says, let the neophyte devotees, the devotees who are very expert in arguing, though they have no sense of advanced devotional service, who think themselves very advanced because they imitate some smarta brahmana, let such devotees not be displeased with me, thinking that I have committed errors in this regard. I beg their pardon with great humility, but I am submitting that I personally have no desire to add or subtract anything. I have only written what I have heard in the disciplic succession because I am dedicated to the lotus feet of previous acharyas like Swarup Damodar, Raghunath Das Goswami and Rupa Goswami. I have only written what I have learned from them. So you see how, although he's saying that I do not cater to everyone's likes and dislikes, but he's at the same time praying that all devotees at all levels be pleased with me, because I'm just repeating the words of, in his humility he's saying like this. Although he is the devotee of the highest character, he's offering obeisances to even the lowest of neophytes. And this is the symptom of an acharya. Humble. Trinadapi Sunichena, we can see the expansion of that in these words that Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja Goswami is writing. Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaitadi Bhakta Vrinda Shire Dhari Sabara Charana Swarupa Rupa Sanatana Raghunathera Shri Charana Dhuli Karo Mastake Bhushana. Very nicely composed. Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaitadi Bhakta Vrinda Shire Dhari Sabara Charana स्वरूप रूप सनातन रघुनाथेर श्री चरण धूलिकर मस्तके भूषण. According to the Parampara system, I wish to take the dust from the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and all the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Raghunath Goswami. I wish to take the dust of their lotus feet upon my head. In this way, I wish to be blessed with their mercy. Paya jar agnya dhana, vrajera vaishnava gana, vandotar mukhya haridas, Caitanya vilasa sindhu, Kalloleru ek bindu, tarakana kohe Kṛṣṇadāsa. Receiving orders from the above authorities and the Vaishnavas of Vrindavan, especially from Haridas, the priest of Govindaji, I, Kṛṣṇadāsa Kaviraj Goswami, have tried to describe one small particle of one drop of one wave of the ocean of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Wow. Caitanya Vilasa Sindhu, Kalloler Ek Bindu, Tar Kana Kohe Kṛṣṇadāsa. Try to describe one small particle of one drop of one wave of the ocean of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 2nd chapter, describing the ecstatic manifestations of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Think. So there's a question here. So Prabhu, while explaining Madhya 2.46, would devotees in such deep trance forget even maintaining their body? Yes. So Babaji Vesh, you can there are some devotees like Vamshidas Babaji, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Jagannath Das Babaji. They have transcended. I mean, actually, all pure devotees are of that stature, but sometimes they act in ways which we can understand so that they actually preach the message of Godhead. The Goshthanandis, who are preachers, they act in intelligible ways. Intelligible ways means in ways which we can understand, we can grasp with our intelligence. These avadhuta activities of great devotees, we cannot even understand. They are in their own, ecstasy. They are completely oblivious of their external situation. But yeah, that stage is there. But the preacher, the acharya who comes down to preach, he descends from the first class platform to the second class platform to preach. Although he is still in the first class platform mentally, but externally he exhibits the second class platform behavior of a preacher. But otherwise, all pure devotees are of that original level where they are deha smriti nahi jar. They are not conscious of their bodies. Okay. In the Chaitanya Mangal, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur has stated in many places the factual truth is that in the future, Vyasadeva will describe the Lord's pastime elaborately. Antya 2087. Yes. Alright. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Swarup Damodar ki Jai. Ramananda Raya ki Jai. Kṛṣṇadāsa Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai. Bilmangal Thakur ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Kori Vaishnav Vrind ki Jai. Nittai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.